Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 24th of April, comes to you from London. Dollar jumped again yesterday, so we're seeing that strength continuing. We're starting to nudge multi-month highs here, looking quite like that it's about to break out. A big move here, consolidation, maybe another move up. So we're seeing that dollar strength. We've got a 16% upside target on the medium-term chart, and 2 and 3% upside on the short-term chart. We do have a downside target on the long-term chart and the downtrend, but on the Ichimoku charts we are bullish. So dollar bullishness still continues. Looking at the euro against the dollar, we're weak on all time frames. So again, just looking ready to break to new lows there. So they're not looking good for the euro. Against the yen, the dollar is actually falling a little bit. So we are just seeing a chance for sell-off there, and that normally heralds a bigger fall across the board for other currencies, the yen being a good lead indicator for the dollar. Sterling pushing lower, we're nudging now the low 129 level, heading down to these downside targets, and the medium term chart coming back into bearish territory on the price at least. Bitcoin back below 5,000 $500 did nudge 5,600 yesterday, so we're seeing quite a move down this morning, over 1%, but still looking pretty bullish on the medium and short-term charts. Just seeing a sell-off this morning, but we still have got upside targets there. The S&P 500 index made it to new highs last night, up 0.88%. So new highs are good, of course. We really want to see it hold these levels and above for a few days to be absolutely certain that we've got a break to a new high. But we did touch new highs last night. Shortage of upside targets is the concern. This will give us a new upside target, this recovery column here, and we do have one here of 6% and 2.5%. So at the moment, it's a bit hard to call where the long-term target is. The Nasdaq also, we have a medium-term target of 5%, a short-term of 2%. Again, making new highs last night. A bit clearer on the Nasdaq, so looking pretty bullish there as well. The Dow actually failed to make a new all-time high by 1 point yesterday, so little bit more work to do there. And the Russell 2000, the broader-based index, still lagging. The futures this morning, the S&P future down 0.1%, the Nasdaq E-mini down 0.16%. So it does suggest the futures are telling us we just might open a little bit lower. The UK market off 0.5% this morning, but still bullish on all three time frames. The mid caps in the UK not looking as bad, and the DAX up 0.2%, looking quite good there as well. The CAC Quarante actually down 0.16%, so we are just seeing a bit of a mixed picture there in Europe this morning. In Japan we were down 0.63%, so bearish there. Hang Seng was down 0.6% as well, just starting to turn a little bit bearish there, and the Chinese market was up very slightly. The Indian market also up very slightly, and the Aussie market powering ahead, up another 1%. So we've seen quite big moves in the Aussie market, pushing us to new highs there as well. Brent crude just coming back a little bit this morning, down $0.50, sitting at $74 still. So bullish on all three time frames, and WTI also looking still pretty bullish after the jumps we saw on Monday. US nat gas sitting at $2.47, so we're below the $2.50 level. That's making multi-year lows now. We are looking back to well before 2006, 3-4 year lows, so not good for nat gas, and we've got downside targets to 2.14, 2.25. Gold sitting at 1271. Not much change there, but still looking more bearish. And silver also just struggling as well now. US 10-year yields still bearish, sitting at 2.54%, with the word that the Fed now looking to ease, having tightened. So still not looking great for yields. Looking at the individual stocks, the Dow, the best performer yesterday in the Dow was United Technologies. They're up 2.3%. Coca-Cola up 1.7%. Seeing some quite big moves in these majors here. Merck recovering up 1.5%, not enough to change the chart. The worst performer still and Procter and Gamble. So again, just looking lower there, but the chart has been making multi-month highs, so looking very good, and outperforming the Dow over the last year quite significantly, although has been flat most of this year. Looking at the Nasdaq, the best performer was Hasbro. They were up 14%, so a really big jump there. Qualcomm were up nearly 6%. Again, another big jump there. They've had an amazing couple of weeks. Qualcomm from 55 to 86. They've just really jumped. Looking at the downside, there were only about 15 stocks downside, just over 10 to 15 stocks. Walgreens still struggling and having underperformed the market by 30% this year. In the Aussie market, we had pretty strong performance all around. Bellamy's up a further 15%. They've really been showing this recovery lately, and that was a big day for them yesterday. Looking on the downside, we have New Hope Corporation down 4.5%, and that chart looking very vulnerable indeed, underperforming the market by 27% so far this year. China was mixed, and in India, if we look at the Sensex, the best performer overnight in India was Hindustan Petroleum. The oil price really helping there. Not enough to change the long-term picture, but still looking pretty good. Bharat Petroleum up as well, and Indian Oil Corporation. So we're seeing, of course, a lot of reaction to this oil price. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation also up 2.4%. So quite interesting there as well. If we look at some of the other stocks, Industrial Bank, they're up 2.3%, and on the downside we had Tata Motors down 4%, and Ultratech down 1.8%, so quite significant there. Axis Bank down 1.74%, and so we're seeing here the live prices just coming in from Yahoo Finance now. Taking a look at Europe, we start by just looking at the UK market. We had NMC is the best performer, up 2.7% this morning. Land Securities were up 1.89%. And Ocado, they're still pushing higher, up 1.3%. They've had an amazing run this year, outperforming the Dow by more than 50% so far this year. On the downside, Anglo American, they're down 2.7%. BP also down, not really changing the nature of the picture there. Smurfit Kappa not looking so good, and WPP down 1.3%. That long-term downtrend continuing. UK mid-caps, looking at the best performer here, Civitas Social, they're up 18.4. Caledonian Investments, they're up significantly as well. On the downside, we've got Primary Health Properties down 19%, and Greencoat down 14.5%. So the smaller caps there just been hit harder. On the European stage, we've got S&P SAP Group in Germany up 6%. That's driving the DAX higher this morning. Quite big move there. On the downside in Europe, we've got Essilor-Luxottica in France. They're down nearly 2%, and we're seeing further falls there in KLM as well, so quite interesting there. Volkswagen also down 1%, but the chart recovery from April has held pretty well. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.